Howdy train fans, welcome back to the Chattanooga Southern Railroad. First, want to thank all my past subscribers and my new ones that are coming on. Thank you very much, and for all your comments in the comment section. I really enjoy reading those. In this session, I want to give you kind of an overview of the layout. So as we go forward, when I talk about a section, you know specifically what I'm talking about and how they relate to one another. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's talk about some specifics about the layout and its construction. Overall, the layout is basically 10 feet wide by 18 feet 6 long at its extreme points. It is based off of Lynn Westcott's L girder design. Most of the wood that's in this layout was from previous layouts. I've bought a couple specific pieces here and there. The sub bed is 1/2-inch plywood with 1/2-inch Homosote on top of it, which is getting harder and harder to find, by the way. And then all the track that you see here is Atlas Code 83. I did not vary between 170 and all that stuff, with one exception. The trackage that is back here in Collier Yard is all code 100. Which I had gotten from a gentleman who passed away, a friend of the family, and he donated all his trains to me. So that's my way of honoring him back there. I don't use cork roadbed. It has, I just don't like it. I don't like trying to shave transitions and things like that. So I use a method using basswood, and you can go back and check some of my other videos about that. It's much easier to get the different profiles for me. It's just how I like to do it. So in addition to that, the layout is DCC. I use a Digitrax Evolution non-radio version, as you can see there with all the plugs. And I've got face plates or control points strategically placed around the layout. There's one on the far side there for the L&N yard. I've got two here, but I've actually bought a third because these, although I was trying to be efficient by placing these two here, they're bad position. So I'm going to be putting one here, one there, and then also one here. This is my command station drawer. You've seen a couple videos and clips about that. Go over. The whole layout is going to get a fascia made of hardboard. It will be probably the 3/16, nominal 3/16 around here, and then my backdrops will all be tempered hardboard, probably the 1/8 inch thick stuff. So there it is. So here we are at the L&N interchange. So this is the first section you see when you walk up to the layout. It's a 2-track staging yard that is actually going to get scenicked. There will be a backdrop here on both sides, this side and on the other side where the heads yard is. And basically this is a way for L&N bound trains can come out, and then a new one can come in. They go through the tunnel and around. I'll show you that here in a second. So interchange yard, the plan here is to do this kind of, I've always wanted to do a snow scene, and I'm leaning that way pretty heavily, but we'll see as I get a little bit closer. This portion of the layout is known as D-Head's Yard, and I'm kind of poking fun at the D-Butts Yard in Chattanooga. It's part of the Citico Yards. They're in downtown Chattanooga, or not downtown Chattanooga, but north of downtown Chattanooga. So this is it has a 7-track staging yard here. The area is roughly about 2 feet wide by about 7 feet long over to where that mountain starts. It has an engine servicing facility, as you can see here, for a few locomotives and or cars, if that's what we're servicing. It also has a fueling track over here that can handle 2 locomotives, and also this track here doubles as the caboose track slash yardmaster's house is right there, or shed or building for the switcher locomotive that's here. Along the back side here is going to be a tank fueling facility here. So tank cars will come in, drop fuel oil and fuel into this fueling facility here. Back here, you'll see that there's a runaround track here to allow moves for the switching back in here. There will be an intermediate customer on this track right here on the backdrop, and then also one here back in the corner. This yard, the history of it is that originally, if I come down here, you'll see that the yard actually is numbered tracks 1 to 5 here. So this was the original yard. And then these 2 tracks were added later as traffic has picked up down here in South Chattanooga. And then these 2 double as arrival and departure tracks. But all the rest of the fiddling and breakdown and makeup of trains happens amongst these tracks here. This section of the layout is called Noth, N-O-T-H, and it's kind of a play on words, and I'll cover that more in the history. But basically, this is the main interchange between the L&N line, which it goes through the tunnel here, and that's the one that crosses over the other main and comes back into that 2-track yard on the backside there as the interchange. This track goes on through and will eventually go out onto some kind of temporary cassette or cartridge or shelf or something like that to allow trains to come onto the layout from up around the north end of town, from the Citico yards, DeButt's yard, that kind of thing, coming down through there. And so L&N trains come in, they drop and interchange using that track there and that track there. Behind us here, we have a trucking company here that's going to receive piggyback flats and also box cars and flat cars for the main warehouse that'll be along the back here. This is going to be a woodworking type of facility. So there'll be a building here that will hide this kind of cut through back to the storage yard in the back there. We'll talk about in a minute. But this will receive like box cars and flat cars of wood coming in, because the building next to it here is a furniture factory. And this is the Walthers version. In addition to the box cars and possibly flat cars coming in and out of here, finished furniture, we're also going to have an adhesives tank car that comes in and brings in glues and other types of epoxy adhesives for the furniture factory to make their product. Okay. This area here has a main line, which is the second track in, and then a passing siding. This is going to be a passenger station that is no longer used as a passenger station. So there's a whole history behind that, and I'll cover that when I do my historical section for you. This is going to be a freight house right here that was associated with this new passenger station. It will be actively used, and box cars, flat cars, and trucks come in and out of that. Here, this is the cutoff to head west on the line, and right here is an old spur for what will become a cement plant that will have 2 and 3 bay covered hoppers coming in and out on a somewhat frequent basis. This is actually a mom and pop type operation with cement mixers and whatnot coming out to what you can kind of see is what will be the main road here. This center section, which is the original layout that I had built, which is 4x8 in length, and it was based off of the Turtle Creek plan in Lynn Westcott's 101 track plans. If you had that orange book growing up, if you're old enough to remember that, I forget what number of plan that was, but it's called the Turtle Creek. I did some modifications to it and from its original state and built this. So it acts as the center island, and I really like the way this has turned out because it gives me the opportunity for a couple different industries. You'll see along here, I've got this pulpwood, old track going to be going underneath the overpass here, the car overpass, for pulpwood. Here, this is going to be a team track. Over here is going to be a lumber mill or a lumber yard. So we'll have lumber cars coming in and out. And then this track coming into the interior here is what's going to be downtown South Chattanooga. And I'll show you that in a second. So here we are on the other side of the main 4x8. This area here is what's going to be known as South Chattanooga, okay? This here, this is going to be a spur that comes in. It feeds two things, the really old depot that was here originally. There will be an old passenger station here. There will be frontage. I think in terms of the Walthers Merchant Row kits. There'll be one here. There'll also be one there to help define this main street here and the road going up over the overpass. This area over here is going to be a scrapyard here. It'll get gondolas coming in and out, loaded and unloaded there. This is this tunnel here that's going into here, which basically is a dead end. The story behind this is this actually used to be the main line through South Chattanooga, but they had a lot of collapses in this tunnel. The rock was unstable, so what they ended up doing is rerouting the main line out and around and cut a new path, double track main through better rock over here. This here is going to be a rip track. They first made an attempt to try to come in through here, but the geotech engineer said that this was still too unstable, and so they shifted it further south. And what you'll see here is these are the tracks. You'll see a track that spurs off. This is the interchange that goes back to the staging yard in the back, which is basically interchange with the Norfolk and Western and the ACL line. The thing I love about this section is this is a loop of track, which I can run a train around and around and around, because sometimes you just want to hear a train going around and around and around. But the other thing too is the way I've designed this is that whether you're coming from that end or you're coming from this interchange or you're coming from the south end, I haven't shown you yet, what we can do is have those trains come in to make the journey a little longer, is say, hey, look, you got to take 2 or 3 laps or 5 laps around to make it long enough of a trip. So I really like that. This section here is what I lovingly call Sugar Alley. The main reason is because I have a sugar addiction. And what this section is we've got a mainline track that heads south here, or I should say it's the old main line. It's actually too old. So let me back up a second. So this was originally the L&N main, okay? And you can kind of see how I made this look. So if this was the original L&N line, it went through, it went through where that boxcar is. And I don't know if you can see the dashed lines, but then it lines up with that tunnel back there where the L&N interchange is. The L&N basically abandoned this. The Chattanooga Southern took it over, and now they use it. The Southern still uses it as a secondary main in times of emergency or whatnot, but we've got a 3-track yard here that is barely big enough to handle the traffic here. because we've got the Coca-Cola distribution plant here, or facility here. We have Brock's Candy Company across the back here, and in addition to that, we've got what I call my DuPont plant here, which is the magical DuPont plant that makes anything and everything. This area is a huge amount of fun to do some shifting. We have a number of trains that come out of D-Head's yard we have both a chem turn, which just arrived the other day, and then we also have the sugar turn, which feeds the Coke and the Brock's. And also in this facility, we have a switcher. We'll have a little facility here for it to reside, to do all this kind of switching back and forth. So here we are on the back side of the layout. This is the hidden staging area, and you can see I've got quite a number of tracks here. I built this to act as I mentioned before, my Norfolk and Western and my ACL interchanges. The first two tracks are the ACL. The second two tracks are the Norfolk and Western. So that gives me enough room to have a train come in and another train go out for both of those interchanges. These tracks down here are going to be my engine storing facility. So for any overflow of engines that I have, and I do have them, I'll park them over here and pull them out as I see fit. So there you go. There's kind of an overview layout update of the whole layout and the different sections. So you'll hear me reference those in videos coming forward. So kind of run back again, you have the L&N interchange up here on the north end. You have the southern interchange, both of which come into North here in that junction point. We have the Head's yard that's literally right behind me there, right, which is the main sorting facility here on the layout. Then you also have the main section here, which is basically downtown South Chattanooga. And then on the far side there, you've got Sugar Alley, as I call it, which has all of the Brock's, the Coke, and the DuPont stuff down there. And then, of course, behind the magic wall back here is my hidden storage yard, which acts as the interchange for the L&N and the ACL. So there it is. We'll see y'all down the tracks. Bye.